is a false accusation that I tried to cover up the possibility that the virus originated from a lab. In fact, the truth is exactly the opposite.
Anthony Fauci has been a pivotal player in the ongoing congressional investigation into the origins of COVID-19. 4 years later, the former National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease Director is facing scrutiny for his role in possibly concealing the origins of the virus. A congressional subcommittee has been investigating for 15 months whether COVID originated from animals in a wet market in China or from an accident at the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Fauci was a strong proponent of the bat market theory of origin early on during the pandemic.
It likely jumped species from an animal reservoir into humans and now is spreading among humans. The most likely origin is a natural origin from an animal reservoir to human.
But by May 2021, Fauci said he was keeping an open mind of the lab leak hypothesis.
The thing that negates all this nonsense that's going around is that you keep a completely open mind. If it's one or the other of two possibilities, instead of arguing about it, we should do whatever we can to prevent either of those possibilities from occurring again.
During his June public hearing, Fauci testified it did not come from any experiments funded by NIAID US-funded experiments in Wuhan, China.
Those viruses were phylogenetically so far removed from SARS-CoV-2 that it is molecularly impossible for those viruses to have evolved or being made into SARS-CoV-2. It's just a virological fact.
Subsequent federal investigations from Congress and the intelligence community have focused on the WIV, otherwise known as the Wuhan lab, not only for its strong connections to the Chinese Communist Party, but also because of its large reservoir of bad coronaviruses that could have made it vulnerable to a lab accident. The subcommittee has continued to unearth more and more evidence since June 2023 that Fauci's senior scientific advisor David Morens used his personal email address to engage in government business and took steps to intentionally hide communications from Freedom of Information Act requests, including deleting government records. Fauci publicly denounced Morens' blending of personal and professional affairs and took great lengths to distance himself from his former scientific advisor.
I knew nothing of Dr. Morens' actions regarding Dr. Daszak, EcoHealth, or his emails. It is important to point out for the record that despite his title, and even though he was helpful to me in writing scientific papers, Dr. Morens was not an advisor to me on institute policy or other substantive issues.
Email evidence from Morens' personal accounts also shows Moren and other senior staff at NIAID used tactics to communicate with Fauci so as to avoid a paper trail explicitly to protect Fauci from culpability. More than 4 years after the initial outbreak, Fauci now says the virus could potentially have come from a lab accident at the WIV, but it could not have been an experiment funded by the WIV.
None of us can know everything that's going on in China or in Wuhan or what have you, and that's the reason why I keep an open mind as to what the origin is.
Fauci's memoir includes a very brief discussion of the origins of the virus, in which he does not directly share his professional opinion. He does highlight, however, that top virologists across the world support the animal-to-human theory and that 75% of virus outbreaks occur from zoonotic spillover. Fauci wrote in his new book, quote, "If and when the origin of COVID is definitely proven, I and my public colleagues will accept this conclusion."